grab my coat really quick. Hello. Okay, I'm also gonna let people know I'm on stream. And I'm also gonna start the music in a little bit after I put on my coat. Okay. Okay. Let me put on the music for today's stream.
The future of your business is
Hi.
with Wix. You get advanced AI capabilities for more customization.
So I have some bad news. I heard back from the recruiter, so I applied to the job. I heard back from the recruiter. They said that they're not moving forward with my application. I'm really upset. Oh, like the audio on my end? Here, 1 second. Hello? Oh, okay, I see why. Hello? Can you hear me? Is the audio better? Can you hear me? How about now? Is the audio low? Louder? Okay, how about now? What do you think? Hello? Is it good? Do you guys hear me? Hello? Testing. Do you hear me? Okay, better. Yeah, I got some bad news. The recruiter that I was looking for at that job just got back to me and said, like, no, we're not going forward with your application. There was other applicants that better suited us at this time. But, I mean, they also were interviewing people before they started talking to me, so I don't know. It's like the Mochi Health one. The one that I was talking about last time. Unfortunately. I'm really, sad, kind of. Not in good spirits. But I guess it's, just time to work more. I'm kind of, yep. Oh, well. What can we do? It is what it is, I guess. It is their loss. I did want to show something, though. So, actually today, I found another job posting where the guy said, go ahead and send, over a design critique. So here, I'll show you, the critique I sent. So this is all, the research stuff I sent him with his website and a little bit for his platform. And then this is, the website redesign I made. I'll show you AuthentiCIO. So this is what their website looks like. And this is my redesign. Let me know if you like it, if you think it's good, if you think it's bad even. But yeah. What do you think? If you think anything. I made like a little bit of, oh, it looks better. Hopefully. It's still not my best, but you know, I don't really have to give them my best at the moment because I just have to show them that like I can design it. I don't know. I hope they take me because that's actually quite good salary. So hopefully I'll hear back from them. But today I'm gonna be doing more design portfolio stuff. Again, I can't really control if people take me or whatnot, but I can control if I work harder, if I do more. So it's really just like, you know, I guess it happens. It's not the worst thing. I mean, honestly, I'm so glad that I got to even interview with them. So it's so nice. I got to interview. But in other news, in other better news, I think Tangible is incorporated now. So, isn't that some better news? Yep. Let's go. I definitely have to like update my LinkedIn to reflect that though. I need to update my LinkedIn in general. Oh, is this Coach? Like the bag? Why are they saying find your courage? If it's Coach. Find your courage? Why do I need to find my courage? This is such a pretty ad though. Yes. I love this ad, I will say. Oh my god. This is so cool. Oh my god, what if I did like my own personal garden for like something inspired by this, my own personal garden for my design portfolio? Shocked that we were able to get Tangible. I thought it would have been taken. I'm so glad we got it. Makes my life happier. I don't know. What if I made this? Here, I'll put it like on my mood board maybe. We could do like a welcome to my design jungle or something. But today, I don't know. I'm still kind of like upset, not gonna lie, but it's okay. Yep, we should. We do need to make a deck. We need to make a pitch deck, and we need to start like looking for funding. But I'm gonna start like, let's see. Let's check this out.
Hello and welcome to another exciting Blender tutorial. Select all and delete them. Now add a sphere here, add a subdivision surface modifier to it. Change levels view 1 to 4, add apply it. Now shade smooth to the sphere. Now tab shader node. Click on new material, now increase the roughness to 0. And increase the transmission value to 1. Now tap on render view. Now add environment texture to background. The HDRI image link the description. See the sphere, get the glass material. The other way to get glass material. Now delete the principal BSDF. Now add a glass BSDF node to it. Now change EV to cycles. And check the space reflection box. See here the sphere, get the material. Here there is different between both render engine. For the glass material, cycles is the best render engine, look like realistic.
That's cool. Let's try.
NRM shouldn't weigh your budget.
Hello, this is Why I love Envato Elements? I love that I don't have to animate my own texting conversations in app.
If you're anything like me, you also like to interact with 3D elements every time you see them on a site. So today I want to show you how to add those elements to your own website using a little library called 3JS. So the first thing you have to do here is download the 3D model that you want to use. I recommend using this website called sketchfab.com because they have a lot of free models there that you can just use as long as you give credits to the creator. Just go ahead and create an account if you don't have one yet. Be sure to always check the licensing information to make sure that you can use this module for the purpose you want to. Then finally, just go ahead and download it in GLTF format. So now let's quickly jump into our code. Let's start by checking the index.html file. So here, there's only two things that you really need. A div with an ID so you can refer to it on your JavaScript. And you need to, of course, import your JavaScript file. I'm also importing a CSS file here, but that's just to style things a little bit to make it nicer, but you don't really need that for 3JS to work. Now jumping over to our CSS file, here is very simple. I'm just setting the background to black, setting a little nicer font, I'm setting a header on the top of the page, and I'm also making the canvas element take over the whole screen.
Video to show.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to make a transparent object in Blender. Let's get started. Press Shift A and add a cube object.
I still need to know, how do you put your Blender object into Let's see how you
Hello,
do that.
and welcome to yet another quick tutorial. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to try and then move our 3D model from Blender onto Behance or any of the art portfolio websites that gives us the ability to showcase our 3D models so you could actually view them in 3D space. So this is a very cool way to spice up your portfolio. So this is just a quick way to go about things. Now, here's a model of an experiential setup that I did for a client, and we're going to try and then move this around in 3D space over the web. Now, the way we're going to go about this is we're going to export as a Collada DAE file, and then we'll move it along with our textures, and then we would be able to build it up within the 3D space so that we can actually showcase to any website that's able to showcase our 3D model. So maybe if you have renders of your image, then you can also add a 3D model itself to get viewers to actually see how the model looks in complete 360 degrees. So over here, if you think
Click the Modifier tab and add a wireframe modifier. Set the thickness value to 0.1. Add a monkey head. Press Ctrl 2 and add a subdivision surface modifier. Right-click and make shade smooth. Add another cube object. Alright, what we're going to do is add transparent material to the cube and allow the monkey head to be visible. Press Z key to switch to the render preview mode. Click the Render Properties tab and ensure that the Cycles is active render engine. Add a sunlight. Adjust the sun angle as you wish. Select the wireframe, go to the Material Properties tab, click the New button, and add a material. Pick a base color. Select the cube, add a new material, and pick any color. Alright, let's split the window. Switch the new workspace to the shader editor. Press N key to close the right panel. Here we can see the principled shader node belonging to the cube object. In order to make the material transparent, we need to lower the alpha value. That's it.
Okay. Let's start this.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we'll learn how to make a transparent object in Blender. Let's get started. Press Shift A and add a cube object. Click the Modifier tab and add a wireframe modifier. Set the thickness value to 0.1. Add a monkey head. Press Ctrl 2 and add a subdivision surface modifier. Right-click and make shade smooth. Add another cube object. Alright, what we're going to do is 2 and add a subdivision surface modifier. Right-click and make shade. Press Ctrl 2 and add a subdivision surface modifier. Right-click and make shade smooth. Add another cube object. Alright, what we're going to do is add transparent material to the cube and allow the monkey head to be visible. Press Z key to switch to the render preview mode. Click the render properties tab and ensure that the cycles is active render engine. Add a sunlight. Click the render property monkey head to be visible. Press Z key to switch to the render preview. Click the Render Properties tab and ensure that the Cycles is active render engine. Add a sunlight. Adjust the sun angle as you wish. Select the wireframe, go to the Material Properties tab, click the New button, and add a material. Pick a base color. Select the cube, add a new material, and pick any color. Alright, let's split the window. Switch the new workspace to the shader editor. Press N key to close the right panel. Here we can see the principled shader node belonging to the cube object. In order to make the material transparent, we need to lower the alpha value. That's it. If we set the alpha value to 0.5, the material becomes semi-transparent, and we can see the monkey head through the cube. If we set the alpha value all the way down to 0, material becomes completely transparent, just like air. If the alpha value is set to 1, the material becomes completely opaque. Alright, it's very easy to make transparent material with cycles. What if we switch to Eevee? Click on the Render Properties tab and switch to the Eevee. As you can see, we have lost the transparency. We need to make some settings to get back transparency in Eevee. Click the Material Properties tab and scroll down to the Settings panel. Switch the blend mode from opaque to alpha hashed. That's it. We can see through the model now. However, the sunlight doesn't pass through the cube, and we can't see the shadows. To fix this, switch the shadow mode from opaque to alpha hashed. There we go. Now we can adjust the transparency level. Alright, there we go. The cube, that's it. We can see through the model now. However, the sunlight doesn't pass through the cube, and we can't see the shadows. To fix this, switch the shadow mode from opaque to alpha hashed. There we go. Now we can adjust the transparency level. All right. Now let's learn how to use transparent background images in PNG format in Blender. On the shader editor, press Shift A and add an image texture. Click on the Open button and open any image in PNG format. Plug the color node into the base color node. Plug the alpha node into the alpha node of the principled shader. That's it. As you know, PNG images contain transparency data. It's a black-white image data. The black color means the alpha value is 0. So, the black areas would be completely transparent. The white color means the alpha value is 1. So, the white areas would be completely opaque. All right. Let's map the image texture on the cube correctly.
So that's how they're growing so fast. They're hiring freelancers. Look what they're doing with AI experts.
In this Blender tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create this realistic glass shader in Blender Eevee. Now, if you'd like to download this Blender file with the Eevee glass shader, then I'll have a free download on my Gumroad and Patreon where you can download this Blender file with the glass shader. But if you'd like to help support me, you can throw $1 into the tip box before you purchase, and that will help to support me. purchasing products on my Gumroad store is also a really great way to help support the channel, so I'll have links in the video description. Alright, so with that all out of the way, let's get started with the tutorial. So I have the 3D view on this side of the screen, and then I also have the shader editor on this side of the screen. So the first thing that I'm going to do, obviously, is change the render engine to Eevee. I'm now going to select this object, and I'm going to click on new here to add a new material, and I can just call this glass shader. And then what I can do is I can click and drag and just drop the glass shader onto these other objects. So you can just apply the shader to whatever object you want. Now to make it look like glass, I'm going to turn this transmission value all the way up to 1, and then unless you're making some sort of frosted glass, I'm going to turn the roughness all the way down to 0. So this is starting to look like glass, but the problem with it is that you can't see the glass. So what we need to do is we need to click right over here on the material properties, and I'm going to scroll down. So right down here under settings, we need to turn on this screen space refraction. And then also let's scroll right up here, and I'm going to go over to the render properties, and we want to turn on screen space reflections. And then if you open up the screen space reflections, I want to turn on this refraction. And now it's already looking a lot more realistic. So you can see through it, and that does look much more realistic. Now we still have a problem, and that is if you look through glass, you're not able to see glass through glass. So to fix this, I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for a transparent BSDF. Now what I want to do is I want to mix these two together so that some of the object is transparent so we can see through it, but then some of it is this glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for a mix shader. I'll just drop it right down here, and then I want to plug the transparent up to the top one and the principled onto the bottom. Now the transparency doesn't really seem to be working. If I plug this up to the surface, you can see it's not working at all. It's fully black, and that is because we need to tell Blender to use the transparency. So to do that, again over here on the side panel, I'm going to go to the material properties, and right down here under settings, I'm going to turn the blend mode and shadow mode from opaque to alpha hash. And now it's actually using that transparency. So if I plug the transparent in there, you can see it is using the transparency. You can't see the glass at all. So I can now plug the mix shader up, and you can see it's using the transparency. Now right now it's just evenly mixing them together, so I can change the factor here, and it's going to be only transparent or only glass. And I don't want this because this is just kind of equally blending between them. I want to tell it where it's going to be more transparent and where it's going to be more glass. In this Blender tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create this realistic glass shader in Blender Eevee. Now if you'd like to download this Blender file with the Eevee glass shader, then I'll have a free download on my Gumroad and Patreon where you can download this Blender file with the glass shader. But if you'd like to help support me, you can throw $1 into the tip box before you purchase. Will help to support me. And purchasing products on my Gumroad store is also a really great way to help support the channel, so I'll have links in the video description. Alright, so with that all out of the way, let's get started with the tutorial. So I have the 3D view on this side of the screen, and then I also have the shader editor on this side of the screen. So the first thing that I'm going to do, obviously, is change the render engine. Going to select this object, and I'm going to click on new here to add a new material, and I can just call this glass shader. frosted glass, I'm going to turn the roughness all the way down to 0. So this is starting to look like glass, but the problem with it is that you can't see through the glass. So what we need to do is we need to click right over here on the material properties, and I'm going to scroll down. So right down here under settings, we need to turn on this screen space for fraction. And then also let's scroll right up here, and I'm going to go down. So right down here under settings, we need to turn on this screen space refraction. And then also let's scroll right up here, and I'm going to go over to the render properties, and we want to turn on screen space reflections. And then if you open up the screen space reflections, I want to turn on this refraction. And now it's already looking a lot more realistic. So you can see through it, and that does look much more realistic. Now we still have a problem, and that is if you look through glass, you're not able to see glass through glass. So to fix this, I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for a transparent VSDF. Now what I want to do is I want to mix these two together so that some of the object is transparent so that we can see through it, but then some of it is glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for a mix shader. I'll just drop it right down here, and then I want to plug the transparent up to the top one and the principled onto the bottom. Now the transparency doesn't really seem to be working. If I plug this surface, you can see it's not working at all, it's fully black, and that is because we need to tell Blender to use the transparency. So to do that, again over here on the side panel, I'm going to go to the material properties, and right down here under settings, I'm going to turn the blend mode and shadow mode from opaque to alpha hash. And now it's actually using that transparency. So if I plug the transparent in there, you can see it is using the transparency. You can't see the glass at all. So I can now plug the mix shader up, and you can see it's using the transparency. Now right now it's just evenly mixing them together, so I can change the factor here, and it's going to be only transparent this is just kind of evenly blending between them, I want to tell it where it's going to be more transparent and where it's going to be more glass. So to do this, I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for the Fresnel. I'm going to drop the Fresnel right down here, and then I want to take the factor and plug that into the factor on the mix shader. So what the Fresnel does is it makes the faces darker when you're looking straight at it, but then kind of on the sides, when you're looking sideways on a face, it makes it more white. And you can see now what it's doing is it's using the principal glass here on the edges, but then it's using the transparency in the middle. Now I want to be able to control this a little bit better, so I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for a color amp node, and I'll just drop the color amp node right here. So I can now take this black color and I can start to turn it up. So really you can just change this to your liking. If you want it to be a little bit more transparent, you can turn it down, or if you want it to be a little less transparent, you can turn it up. It's using the principle. This is darker when you're looking straight at it, more transparent, and where it's going to be more glass. So to do this, I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for the Fresnel. I'm going to drop the Fresnel right down here, and then I want to take the factor and plug that into the factor on the mix shader. So what the Fresnel does is it makes the faces darker when you're looking straight at it, but then kind of on the sides, when you're looking sideways on a face, it makes it more white. And you can see now what it's doing is it's using the principal glass here on the edges, but then it's using the transparency in the middle. Now I want to be able to control this a little bit better, so I'm going to press Shift A, and I'm going to search for a color amp node, and I'll just drop the color amp node right here. So I can now take this black color and I can start to turn it up. Color amp node right, press Shift A, and I'm going to search for a color amp node, and I'll just drop the color amp node right here. So I can now take this black color and I can start to turn it up. So really you can just change this to your liking. If you want it to be a little bit more transparent, you can turn it down, or if you want to less transparent, you can turn it up. I personally like this color right here, and if you want to use the same exact color that I'm using, you can click over on the hex value and you can type in A7. over here on this monkey head, what I did is I added in this solidify modifier, because you can see without the solidify modifier, it doesn't really look that realistic. It kind of just looks like it's a super, super thin piece of glass. It almost looks like if you set this down, just the smallest amount of pressure would break the glass. So to make it look a bit more realistic, I added this solidify modifier and just turned it up to make it a little bit thick, and that looks a lot more realistic because it gives that glass a little bit of thickness. So this does look pretty cool, and it does look pretty realistic. You can see through it, and it has reflections and shadows, but there is a problem with this, and that problem is that it's really quite grainy. So there are a few things that you can do to fix this. So one thing that we can do to get rid of that grain is we can turn up the sample count in EV. So right over here on the render properties, EV does actually have samples. So if you turn the viewport and render both up to something really high, like 1,000, now if you zoom in here, you can see the grain is much less. Now this does look a lot nicer, but it will take longer to render. So if I just render this, it took my computer 14 seconds to render this image. And so that's not really desirable. We would like it to render faster. So you could turn up the sample count, but what you could also do is just turn the sample count up a little bit. So maybe not turn it up to 1,000, maybe just turn it up to something like 100, and then you can render it.
I'm good. How are you?
Rendered in 3 seconds, and you can see that does look pretty nice.
Hi, rapper. Hi, RBR. I didn't know you were around. Yep. Yeah, I got like into an accident actually. What did I say? I fell down. I split my lip basically. Like if you can see, I have a split here. So basically I went running one day. I went for like 5 miles and then I came home. Usually I eat something right after running, but this time like my stomach was in knots. I wasn't feeling good. So I didn't eat anything, but then I went to take a shower and then I came out and I face planted into my wall and split my lip. And yeah, so I've been recovering for a while. But yeah, it's been kind of like a while since I've been here. But yeah, I was wondering where you were, to be honest. I haven't seen you around.
So when you hop over to Blender's compositor, you can just click on the Use Nodes button right up there, and there is still took my computer 40, and that looks a lot more realistic because it gives that glass a little bit of thickness. So this does look pretty cool, and it does look pretty realistic. You can see through it, and it has reflections and shadows, but there is a problem with this, and that problem is that it's really quite grainy. So there are a few things that you can do to fix this. So one thing that we can do to get rid of that grain is we can turn up the sample count in EV. So right.
And I see people send a lot of Who's here? Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. Oh my god, this is like not working for me for some reason.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast
Right
checkout
over here on
stage.
the render properties,
Thanks.
EV
You're all
does
set.
actually have
That count
samples.
it up and
So
ship
if
it
you
around
turn
the
the
globe
viewport
stage.
and render
This
both
one's
up to
going
something
to
really high,
high.
like 1,000.
And that,
Now if you
wait,
zoom
did we just
over
hit
render, maybe
$1 million
there is still
orders
go over to
stage?
first video,
Whatever your
leave
stage,
that all out,
businesses
and
that
put whatever you
grow,
want.
grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 month trial at shopify.com.
Yep.
How to make grass clip and grass material in Blender.
I did stream for a while, but maybe we weren't around. I don't know. I started streaming again like last week. Now you are here alive and breathing. Yep, I am alive and breathing. But yeah. I was alive and breathing before, but I wasn't in any mood to stream, I guess. You could say.
In this Blender tutorial, I'll show you how to create this procedural glass material. Now you might be wondering why we're creating a procedural glass material
Could
when
be.
Blender already has a glass shader. And also if you add the principal shader, you can open up the transmission, turn the transmission weight up.
How to make clear glass in Blender. We have here a cut model that I get from the kit library.
How'd
So
your
you
assignments go?
can use that or anything you have to follow with us. Before starting, we need some lights in the scene, so you can add that. For me, I will use this basic add-on called Quick Environment to add a studio lighting. Switch to render view and put the engine on cycles, then add a camera in the scene. Let us open a new work window for the shading part. Hit the new button to add a material, delete the principal BSDF, and with Shift A, add a glossy material. We also need a refraction shader since we need glass. With Shift Control and right mouse button, we can mix those two together. In the mix factor, add a Fresnel node, and to get the IOR value, you can do a simple search online. For clear glass, it will be around 1.5. So add this number in the Fresnel and refraction. And make sure the roughness value is 0 on both nodes. By now, if it looks more of chrome to you than glass, you need to flip the mix. So just put the refraction at top. And there you have it. Simple glass material for you to use at any occasion. And if you want to go deep in the glass making, I have for you a more advanced tutorial to watch. See you guys next time.
Okay, so this is the final result of this tutorial. If you like it, stay tuned right after the intro.
Hello, this is a video to show how to make transparent glass material using principal BSDF in Blender. This is the default scene in Blender. I delete the default object, and then I add another group. Go to Add, Merge, to add a group, and then I will go to Add Demo, and I want to make it thinner. I will use Scale and reduce the thickness. And open the resize panel, we can type the value. I will use 0.05 in Y. And then I want to add the bevel on the edges to make more reflection.
Let's try this one. Uh-oh. Go inside. Okay, let's try this new method. Let's see if it kind of gives me the effect I want.
How to make clear glass in Blender. We have here a cut model that I get from the kit library, so you can use that or anything you have to follow with us. Before starting, we need some lights in the scene, so you can add that. For me, I will use this basic add-on called Quick Environment to add a studio.
Where's Quick Environment? doesn't Jack have a pro? Oh, ad blocker. Oh. I have an ad blocker on the other computer. It's just that I don't have one now. And how the heck do you install an add-on again? File. But it's like edit. Preferences, add-ons, yeah. Okay. Cool. Brave browser. Oh, okay. Cool. This is annoying. Okay. I already installed Brave. I do. But where is I'm just having trouble finding it. Do I have to like God damn. Where is this thing? Swear to God. Oh. Oh meow. I didn't install it. Okay. Okay, now I installed it. Cool. Yay. But see, then I have to like start it all over again. You can see behind the stars. Wait, how can you see behind the stars? No. Oh, it must be this one then. Oh, why can't I remember my password? Oh, this one. Save. Continue. Yay. I don't want to confirm my home address at this point. Let's try watching something with ads on it. I still don't know why people put their... Oh, my date of birth. Because it's like something easy to remember. At least like the year I was born. Like remembering that's not very hard.
Lighting. Switch to render view and put the engine on cycles.
Okay. Why is it so grainy? Easy for hackers to generate passwords too, I guess.
Then add a camera in the scene.
Let's add a camera.
Let us open a new work window for the shading part. Hit the...
I don't really want a camera at the moment, but we'll have one later. Probably a good idea to share specific windows and rather your whole screen. You're likely going to dox yourself one day. Yep. But also, like, I don't know. I try to keep like all the sensitive information off stream anyway. I also feel like, I don't know, at this point there's not like a whole lot of people watching me yet, so I'm like, and also like, if you guys wanted to dox, can you dox me? I don't think so. There's not enough information for you to dox me yet.
The new button to add a material.
I will eventually do it though. I will eventually like limit browsers, just so I don't dox myself.
Button to add a material. Delete the principal BSDF.
Where is this? Huh. Okay.
And with Shift A, add a glossy material.
Docs isn't probably a good idea to share. Docs isn't a cyber attack. Yep.
We also need a refraction shader since we need...
No, I know that. Actually, this one is my my non-personal one. This one's my work one. Although I do think like I need to start like not showing it for sure. There is ways like I can get around that. I just can like blur the screen too. I can like turn off, you know, the screen share while I go check it out, but I prefer to like, I mean, it's like Are they gonna see my password? No. So it's okay.
Glass with shift control and right mouse button.
There are times where I turn it off. Where like, I don't know, like if I need to turn off the screen, I just turn off the screen.
Those two together. In the mix factor, add a Fresnel node. Let us open a new work window for the shading part. Hit the K.
No, we don't
add
want
a
that
glossy
fast. Okay, where's the
We also
refraction?
need a refraction shader since we need glass. With shift control and right mouse button, we can mix those two together.
Mix shader, okay. And then where do they plug? Oh, okay. Yeah. This looks so grainy.
In the mix factor, add a Fresnel node.
Okay, still looks hella grainy.
To get the IOR value, you can do a simple search online. For clear glass, it will be around 1.5.
Yay. Still super not great.
So add this number in the Fresnel and refraction. And make sure the roughness value is 0 on both nodes. By now, if it looks more of chrome to you than glass,
Well, right now it doesn't look good. Is the light even working? That's my question. Why is this doing this?
you need to flip the mix. So just put the refraction at top. And there you have it. Simple glass material for you to use it, and make sure for clear glass it will. In the mix factor, add a Fresnel node, and to get the IOR value, you can do a simple search online. For clear glass, it will be around 1.5. So add this number in the Fresnel and refraction, and make sure the roughness value is 0 on both nodes. By now, if it looks more of chrome to you than glass, you need to flip the mix. So just
Why is this doing this? That's what's annoying.
just put the refraction at top. And there you have it. Simple glass material for you to use.
Okay, so this one didn't work either. Did I use the right one?
Sure, we are going to continue. Alright, start by deleting the default cube and creating a cylinder, adding some loop cuts, and just apply a subdivision surface modifier. Yes, it does look ugly, so we're gonna fix this right now. Create a loop cut and move it almost to the top. Repeat the same step with the bottom part. To get rid of these weird ripples, just create an inset on the top face and basically repeat the step for the bottom face too. Now the general shape is looking fine, make sure the shade is smooth. Now we're gonna make a cut for the inside of our glass, select the top face and extrude it downwards. I want to make the bottom pretty thick, so I'll leave a lot of space there. To fix these weird ripples, once again just create a couple of insets. And the general shape of our glass is looking fine right now. Now create a plane so you can see the glass a little bit better. Switch to the
Still not really where I want it to be, but I will save this.
the cycles rendering engine and make sure to turn on the GPU compute if you have it. Now adjust the material, create a new glass material, make sure the color is just absolute white, the transmission is 1.0 and roughness is 0. This is already looking like a glass, but it's just way too perfect. We need to fix this. First of all, UV unwrap your glass as a cylinder. Don't worry, you don't need any sort of precision over here. Now go to the shading tab, create texture coordinate node, create a mapping node, and connect the UV output of the texture coordinate to the vector of the mapping. Now create a noise texture and connect the vectors. Control Shift click to the noise texture and adjust it to the point where you like it. Something like this is looking pretty fine, and then just scale it down over the x-axis so you can only see these ripples. Now we need to create a displacement node.
And this is the default scene. I delete all the objects first. We can add a grip here. To make a round edge, we can and refraction. So as max all the edges, press A and then go to N.
Wix is your platform to perform on. A complete portfolio solution means you can tell your unique story with confidence.
So what's up guys? I know, unbelievable, a new video by Damien Matthew. On this dead channel, who would have expected a new video to pop up? Today, I was looking at the shower glass and noticed that the glass edge was green due to its thickness. So looking through a thick piece of glass, it starts to turn green. Kind of makes sense. Then I was thinking about Blender and was like, wait a moment, does Blender glass actually behave this way? So let's check it out. First we're going to use the glass shader right here. It's basically the same as the principle, but to prove a point, I'll show you with the glass shader. We're going to get this pasty green right here, desaturated to something like this, And you can already see that this is not behaving as you might expect. So if I desaturate it, it just turns gray. If I make it brighter, it's just hard to get the effect. So if I look through this thick piece of glass.
Hello and welcome to this Imish video. Today we will be talking about glass in Blender. Okay, and what we're going to talk about in this video is what is wrong with the Blender glass, some ways in which we can fix it, how to add some nice absorption to give it some nice colour, and some tips and tricks to make your glass a lot more realistic in general. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about in this video, I've actually made a blog about it, and I've actually put together a node group that you can download for free from this blog. I'm not going to do any Irish promotion in this video, so don't worry, but if you do get a chance to share this blog on your social media or any websites, then that would be really cool. But in that blog, I've got a free node group for you with everything set up that I'm going to talk about in this video. So if you don't want to watch the video, then don't. But if you are curious why and how I set up this node group, then do watch this video. So as you can imagine, glass in general is a very complicated material. It has light going through it, there's all sorts of reflections going on inside the glass, there's light transport through the glass, and it can create things called caustics. Now there is a new setting in the latest Blender which allows you to do real caustics, but as you can imagine that is quite expensive in render time. And you should be able to get very quick and efficient and very realistic glass in Blender without needing to add caustics. Of course you can add caustics after if you would like, but I'm not going to go on about it in this video. I think that deserves its own video. But in this one we're just going to make very realistic and very high quality glass. Now the Blender shader in general, I don't like it because by default it adds shadow to the glass, which is good in certain situations, but for most situations which I find, adding the shadow just makes things difficult to work with, and especially for new users, there are very specific situations in which the glass should not have shadow. So for example, if a new user they adds a glass to a window and then adds a sun, there is now no light going through the window, which is very strange. There's a shadow being cast through the glass. And another situation, you might have a glass on a table and you can see that there is a grey base to the bottom of this glass, as if the glass is casting a shadow, but it's see-through, so you can see the shadow is casting, which doesn't make sense. So now let's talk about some ways that we can fix it. If you have a glass on its own, you can go to the object properties and turn off shadows. Then you get a much more realistic looking glass, but the problem I have with this is that then there are completely no shadows, and glass does create some shadows. And not only that, if you have a glass window and it's attached to another object, you then have to separate the glass and then change this setting in the object properties. So I find it much more easier, much more universal to create a node setup, which we can then use and add to all of our glass. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is make a new material, and we're going to call this advanced glass. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add a principled shader. You can add a glass shader, but what I do find is that the principled shader does have a lot more settings, and you can adjust the glass in far more ways than you can with glass shader. So I'm going to be using the principled shader. And we're just going to plug that in, and we can see that it's just white. What we need to do now is set the transmission to 1, and then we're going to turn the roughness to 0, and then set the base color to pure white. Of course, there are no materials in real life which are 100% glossy, so it is ideal to set the roughness to a very, very low value, but just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to set this to 0. But as we can see here, is that the glass is casting a shadow and the base of this glass is just too strong. I think that this looks unrealistic. So that's what we need to fix. We're going to tell it if there is a shadow, make that invisible, but we still want to be able to see the glass in the camera. So let's add a mix shader, and we're going to get a transparent node and plug that in, and then we're going to use this light path node. I highly recommend you look up what all of these settings do. This is a very, very useful node, and you'll be using it repeatedly throughout your Blender career. But just for this video, we're just going to be using a couple of outputs. So what I'm going to do here is plug in the shadow ray into the factor of the mix shader. And now we're telling it, is it a shadow ray? Yes. If it is, then make it transparent. If it is not, then we still want to be able to see it in the camera. Now what I also like to do is that I also like to hide any diffuse rays. And this just rules them out. So what we're going to do is plug the shadow ray and the diffuse ray into an add node, and then plug that into the factor. So now if there's a diffuse ray or a glossy ray, they're both going to be transparent. But now there is a new problem with the glass, and that is that the glass has no shadow at all. And that is not realistic either. So what I'm going to do is plug in a mix node. Then with this node, if I set this to 1, then I'm telling it to completely ignore the light path node and just have the normal shadows as we said it before. But if I set this to a lower value, the light path node is going to be gradually brought in, and then the shadow is going to be slightly reduced. And the benefit with this, we can slide and tell it how much shadow we want until we find that there is a more realistic value. I do find that a value of about 0.3 is correct. Okay, so now we have a much more realistic looking glass, and I find that this glass is much more usable than the previous glass. But like I've said, I've already set this node group up for you, so you can download mine and start using it today. But I do recommend you use this on most of your glass objects. But there is one thing to remember: if you are going to create this glass, you are going to put it on a window, make sure that there are no shadows. Because with the glass in real life, the window glass is so thin that generally the light transport is going to be very minimal anyway, that there's going to be very, very little shadow. So I always set this to 0 for window glass. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the green edged glass. And I have actually seen tutorials about this online in ways that you can create this green edged glass. And one way that I see people do it is actually select these outer edges and set these to a green glass. And that is incorrect. It might look okay, but in general it's not physically accurate. But luckily there is a principled volume shader which does this for you in a much more realistic way. Okay, so it's quite simple. The first thing I'm going to do is set the color to a white value, something like this. I'm then going to set the density to something like 100, and then the absorption color to a nice turquoise kind of color. This is the kind of color which you will find in the edge of a lot of glass, but sometimes it comes in a more blue or sometimes in a more green. Then we're going to just set the anisotropy value to 1. Now that makes a nice, clean, clear glass, but the light that's coming through it is going to be slightly tinted in a way. And what this is doing is giving the glass itself some sort of density, so the thick areas will be more affected by this color and the thinner areas will not. And that is why when you look at it from the side, there is only a very slight tint, whereas when you look at it from the edge, because you're looking through a much more of the glass, it's going to be much more coloured into this colour. This is actually quite useful as well when you have some objects which have varying thicknesses in the glass. You might have a vase where the bottom is a very thick glass, so the light transport through that's going to take a lot longer and is more affected by the colour of the volume, whereas the thinner areas are going to be less affected. So that is a quite cool and easy trick to make nice, more realistic coloured glass. Now there are some more settings in the principal volume, and I do just recommend you just play with them and see what they all do, because this principal volume shader is a very useful shader. But I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I think that this on its own has created a very useful architectural glass that you can use throughout all of your objects. But do remember, if you are going to add window glass, make sure that the density is set to 0 and there's just no colour set on the absorption, because you don't really want any density on window glass, otherwise you're going to end up tinting the whole scene. Whereas usually window glass is quite clear. Now there might be a very slight tint, but in general it's easier to work on your scene when you have more control of the colour coming into the scene. Okay, now for the tips and tricks, what I'm going to talk about are render settings and some render passes which can be quite useful for
To make it transparent, okay, we can use renderer
guys, I feel very tired and dead, so I'm gonna end the stream for today, but I'll probably be back like tomorrow or the day after. I'm just really dead right now, so I'm gonna go rest. See you guys.